Some towns are unusual because of their buildings, but Setenil de las Bodegas is unusual because the mountain became part of the town. In southern Spain, in the province of Cadiz, the town sits along a narrow river gorge, where soft rock was carved away over time. The result is a settlement where homes, shops, and streets press directly against the cliffs. In some places, the rock overhang forms a natural roof above the street, making the town feel less built on the landscape than folded into it. The strange part is that this was not just decoration. It was practical, natural shelter, helped protect people from the harsh summer heat and from colder winter air. The rock kept interiors more stable than exposed buildings could, long before modern insulation geography was doing part of the work. The town also had defensive value. Setenil grew in a region where high ground, narrow approaches, and difficult terrain mattered. Its position made it easier to control access and harder for outsiders to enter quickly. Over generations, people adapted the available space instead of forcing a normal town plan onto an abnormal place. Even the name hints at layers of history. The word bodegas is often linked with the wine cellars and storage spaces that took advantage of the cool rock. The settlement turned a geographic inconvenience into a useful resource. For residents, the unusual setting is not only a landmark, it shapes shade noise, street life, storage, tourism, and the everyday feeling of moving through a town that shares walls with stone. Setenil still matters because it challenges a simple idea about towns. We often imagine people choosing flat ground and then building upward. Here the rock was already there, so the town learned to live around it, inside it, and beneath it. It is a reminder that strange places are not always accidents. Sometimes they are intelligent answers to difficult geography, and the next town takes that idea even deeper underground. In the Australian outback, one town survives by disappearing into the ground. Coober Pedy sits in South Australia, far from the coast, and surrounded by an extremely dry interior. The place is famous for opal mining, but its strangest feature is not the gemstones. It is the way people learned to live with heat that can make ordinary buildings uncomfortable for much of the year. The practical answer was the dugout, a home carved into the earth. Underground rooms stay much cooler and more stable than structures exposed to the desert sun. Instead of fighting the climate with endless machines, early residents used the ground itself as protection. The town developed because the land held something valuable. Opal discoveries drew miners into a harsh region where water was scarce, supplies had to travel long distances, and comfort was never guaranteed. Mining already required digging, so turning old shafts and excavated spaces into shelter made sense. Work and survival became part of the same underground logic. Over time, Coober Pedy became more than a mining camp. It developed underground churches, underground guest rooms, underground shops, and homes that keep a steady temperature while the surface shifts between intense sun and cold desert nights. This is what makes the town fascinating. Its oddness is not a gimmick. It is a survival strategy shaped by geology, climate, and distance. People came for stones hidden beneath the desert, then stayed by making the desert itself part of daily life. The settlement proves that a community does not have to expand only outward or upward. In the right conditions, it can move inward. Geography does not just decide where towns appear. It can decide the temperature of a bedroom, the shape of a church, and the rhythm of ordinary life. Setenil used a cliff for shelter. Coober Pedy used the earth as a shield. The next town shows what happens when mountains and weather squeeze a community into an even stranger form. At the edge of Alaska's Prince William Sound, Whittier feels less like a normal town than a settlement tucked behind a locked door. The community sits between deep water and steep mountains southeast of Anchorage. For much of the year, the weather is wet, windy, and heavy with snow. Land routes are limited, and the most famous way in is a long tunnel that controls when vehicles can pass. That geography shaped everything. During the Second World War, the area became valuable because it offered a strategic port connected to Alaska's interior by rail. The mountains that made access difficult also gave the place a kind of protection. Whittier grew as a military and transportation site, not because it was easy, but because its difficult location was useful. After the military presence changed, the town did not become ordinary. Many residents live in Begich Towers, a large building that also helps concentrate daily life in a place where storms and isolation matter. Services, homes, and community routines are unusually compressed. Whittier is often nicknamed a town under one roof, not because every single part of life is literally inside one building, but because geography pushed the settlement toward closeness. The tunnel adds another layer. It is shared by road traffic and trains with movement organized by schedule. That means arriving or leaving can depend on timing, in a way most towns never experience. The route is not just infrastructure, it is part of the town's rhythm. Whittier is fascinating because it turns isolation into a daily system. Mountains limit space. Weather encourages shelter, water gives access. A tunnel controls the land connection. Each part of the landscape has a job. Together with Sentinel and Coober Pedy, it shows the same quiet truth. Unusual towns are rarely random. They are negotiations with place. Some settle under stone, some move underground, some gather behind mountains. In each one, geography is not background. It is the reason the town works.